So today we're at Foxton Locks and we're going to paddle into Market Harborough. We're all pumped up. Let's get in the water. So I've just come on at the famous Foxton Locks that's on the Leicester line of the Grand Union Canal. Now I'm paddling towards Market Harborough, and Market Harbour's an arm, but it wasn't going to be originally. Originally it was going to be the main canal. So there was an Act of Parliament in 1793 that asked for to be built from the Midlands coalfields and from Leicester, from the River Soar coming through Leicester to join up to the River Nene at Northampton, and from there theoretically boats could go onto the Northampton arm and down onto the Grand Junction Canal through to the Oxford Canal at Braunston and then down into London. That was the plan. And so they started to build, and by 1797 they'd built about a dozen locks and a half-mile tunnel at Saddington, and also the reservoir that was required to feed the canal at Saddington. And then, as with all of these things, they ran out of money. Now they got as far as there, which is probably about 5 miles away from here. Ran out of money and had to make some decisions. Now they went to two of the most prominent engineers of the day, one of which was the chief engineer for the Grand Junction Canal, a man called Barnes, and he proposed that they build the canal through Foxton straight down to Norton, and then on through to Braunston, but that would mean going over the hill at Foxton. So they also spoke to Thomas Telford, the great engineer. He proposed going round that hill by going through Market Harborough. So that's what they did. Oh, this is a wonderful morning. Beautifully sunny. It's only early, it's about 7:30 now. And it's really lovely. It's quite an interesting area actually. The ridge and furrow fields on my right are just huge, and there's loads and loads of them. And I love that. But also on my right here, where I am right now, used to be, during the Second World War, it was RAF Harborough. And after the war, it closed down as an RAF base and was handed over to the army. And in 1948 they handed it over to the care and maintenance side of things, so it was just left really with nothing to do. And eventually they made it into HMP Gartree, the prison. It's a category B prison, so they're all lifers in there, put away for life. Interestingly, in 1987 there was an escape from there by 2 prisoners by helicopter, in a stolen helicopter that picked them up from the exercise yard. One of them was quite a big gangland boss, I believe, and it took them 13 months to get him back. The other guy was picked up in about 10 days. But yeah, all interesting stuff. So they started building again, the canal, It was called the Leicestershire and Northamptonshire Union Canal to unite those two counties, and they started building towards Market Harborough, and in 1809 they finally reached Market Harborough. Now they ran out of money again, so to great fanfare they opened the wharf at Market Harborough, realising they'd run out of money. Weren't really sure what to do after that, so they put it back to the engineers, and the engineer Barnes got his way, and they decided to actually build from Foxton, where this comes from now, up the 2 flights of locks at Foxton and down towards Norton. Decided that was the cheapest way to go, and actually the Grand Union Canal Company, the Grand Union Canal Carrying Company, was formed to do exactly that. So they built through to Norton Junction that way, and Market Harborough was left as just an arm, a very useful arm, but nevertheless just an arm. So it was no longer the actual line of the canal. Now when I got on at Foxton, we got on just this side of a swing bridge because it looked like it was quite difficult to negotiate, but I've just come up against another one, so I think we're probably, I might be skinny enough to get underneath that. I'll have a look. Yeah, you're there. You'll make it. Hello there. Right, oh, maybe I won't get out after all.
Yeah, loads of road. Look at 8 inches above you.
We're out. There you go. It was worth not having that other Kit Kat last night. So Market Harborough is quite an interesting place in its own right. I think the history can be traced back to about 400 AD, when it was a Saxon village. I think it was called Haverburg or Haverburg, which means oat hill, so I'm guessing that's what they used to grow in the fields around here, oats. And then come the Norman conquest. It's mentioned in the Domesday Book of a similar name as well. So yeah, it goes back quite a way. Good morning. You think? And so according to the Domesday Book, it was obviously the land was given to a lord to look after, and obviously all of the people around here then came under all of that, and the ridge and furrow fields all around here were feeding those people while they were growing things to pay taxes with. Now in 1200, round about 1200, just after 1200 I think, the town was given market status by royalty. So what that meant was lots of things were sold at the market, so lots of people came to Market Harborough to sell their wares. Lots of people came here to buy their stuff, and what that meant was because it was such a big trading place, they could, a lot of service industries, hotels, boarding houses, eateries, all sorts of things sprung up around here, so it became a very, very prosperous place. It also put it on the coach map, the coaching map from London up to the north of England, so it was one of the stop-off rehorsing places in the Midlands. It was quite a big noise really around here. Now the next big interesting thing that happened at Market Harborough was in 1561. Now a young girl called Agnes Bowker, unmarried I might add, gave birth, and according to her midwife she gave birth to a cat. That made quite a lot of, obviously the midwife made quite a lot of noise about that, told everybody, and a pamphlet was produced, because that's how news used to get about in those days. There were no newspapers, but they used to write pamphlets. They would be sent from village to village, and anybody that could read there would tell everybody else, and it sort of went through the grapevine really. So Agnes Bowker's cat became the big story of the day, and it got as far as London. It got as far as Queen Elizabeth I's advisors, and it was put in the hands of the clergy and the man who became eventually the Archbishop of Canterbury. He commissioned a study into it, looked into it, and decided it was all a hoax. Well, there's a shocker. Don't really know what happened to Agnes Bowker. Nevertheless, apparently the British Library has got a picture of the cat, which is nice. Somebody drew a picture of it anyway. Poor old Agnes Bowker. There's quite a lot of debris down this canal actually. I'm guessing it's because, I mean, all of these reeds are really here because of the low traffic. You tend to get that on arms because there's nowhere particularly for the boats to go. They're only ever going to come down here either for a nice mooring or just to see the place. So you do tend to get that. You tend to get quite a lot in the water and quite a lot of veg growing down the sides just because of the low traffic really. And so the next best thing, the next big thing that the area was known for was the English Civil War. Cromwellian forces fighting royalist forces. We're not that far from Naseby actually, for the Battle of Naseby, which is 1645. And in 1645, Market Harborough's chapel was used to house prisoners that Cromwell caught and imprisoned. Now most of those I'm guessing would have been officers, because the ordinary pikemen and such would have been put down on the battlefield, and the officers would have been kept because they could be sold back to the other side. It's what they used to do. They would capture the officers and sell them back to the other side. So they would have been kept in the chapel at Harborough, Market Harborough. It's a lovely bridge, Johnson's Bridge, number 7. God, I'm loving this. This is lovely. Now since those days, The area's been known for various things. They used to grow peas here, and the peas were turned into flour at a flour mill to make pea flour. Until I read about that, I'd never really heard about pea flour, but apparently it was quite a big thing around here. There were various factories and manufacturing sites here that made corsets and stays. Apparently some of the best corsets in the country were made here. And also the Foxton printing presses. There was a factory here that made the letters, the metal letters, iron letters, the Foxton printing presses. And that was a really big thing actually. That factory diversified into lots of other things made of metals, and it actually only closed down in 2002, so it was sort of there for a couple of 100 years making all that sort of stuff. So that was quite a big deal as an employer in the area. Now, as I said at the beginning, I started off at Foxton Locks. Foxton Locks are really famous in the canal world. There are a couple of pretty big flights of locks for a start, where the canal, the Leicester line of the canal, has to go over the hill. But it's also famous for, it's got a really good museum there, but it's also got what they called an inclined plane. So because the locks took such a long time to get through, there was also a diversionary route coming from the south where you could go off to the right, and then you ended up at the top of a slope, and you would take your boat into a trough full of water. There were two troughs there full of water. You take your boat into that, and they would lower you down using the other trough as a counterweight. They could lower you down to the canal at the bottom, so you could effectively bypass the locks. It was much quicker, much more efficient, but it was much more expensive. So I guess depending on the company, how profitable they were, and the boatman, how profitable he was, and how much, whether he was running late as well, I guess, they would either take the locks or take the inclined plane. Now the inclined plane's no longer working, but it's a fantastic exhibit, and you can see exactly how it used to work. And like I say, the museum's fantastic as well. It's got great parking. There's some great pubs around there and all sorts of things. It's a really, really nice place to go for a day out. Now this is the site of the old bone mill, where they used to collect up all the bones from all of the animals, from butchers' shops and from knackers' yards for horses, grind them all up into a powder and spread them on the fields as fertiliser. All these bridges look very thin at the top. Sedgley's Bridge. I guess the power of the arch keeps it all up, makes it nice and strong for farm vehicles and stuff. They do seem quite fragile to look at.
Morning.
Good morning.
You know, stable.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's lovely.
When the horses used to take all the goods along.
Right, yeah. Wow.
It's lovely. We love living here.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, isn't it?
Beautiful day.
Yeah, we're very lucky today. Looks like Canals and Rivers Trust are doing some dredging or some bank work or something, which is always good to see. Morning here. Good morning. It's not bad. Keeps you fitter than that. Good morning there.
Workout.
It's all happening. Hello there. You're the one doing the work then. Loads of debris in the water. I think most of this is roots from reeds. And I would say when they've been doing this bank work, I reckon they've cut a load of reeds down. And now all of the roots from those reeds are floating up to the top by the look of it. Oh. Good morning. Got a lovely day for it, isn't it?
Beautiful.
I think I've got into the posh part of Market Harborough now. There's some beautiful houses. Really lovely. And here we go. We've just got to Union Wharf. Union Wharf is the basin at Market Harborough. We're here. This skinny bit, just in case you're interested, that's where they can put some cofferdam boards down so they can drain it if they want to, or drain parts of the canal. So they slide literally planks down, pack them out, and then I can drain it all off. And this is very nice. Lovely. And so that was the Leicestershire and Northamptonshire Union Canal, from Foxton Locks right through to Market Harborough. And it's a really nice place. It's been a lovely paddle, it's been a really nice place. My mate's just gone off to see if he can find some ice cream, which sounds like a great idea. But apart from that, I'll have my coffee. But yeah, I mean, look, what a great place. Anyway, like, subscribe, stay tuned, and happy paddling.